ranking new movies released in March from worst to best. Now, it's no secret that 2025 has been a pretty weak year for new movies. It seems like all the major studios are saving their good films until the summertime to release them, but March actually has had my three favorite films of the entire year so far, and also some of my least favorite of the entire year. There was really no middle ground in March, either really great or terrible. And in last place, it's surprisingly not Snow White. Instead, I'm going with Odessa, the newest Hulu movie starring Sadie Sink. This is like a steampunk musical kind of thing where she's a part of this like rambling family that goes around singing songs to make people feel better, and it is just a complete mess from beginning to end. It doesn't ever get weird enough, honestly, for the concept. Sadie Sink is great in other things, but this movie is just a big no. 11 is The Electric State. Every time I bring up that I don't like this movie, everybody comes out and defends it. Listen, if you like this movie, I'm happy for you, but for me, I got like zero enjoyment out of this entire thing. It took a graphic novel that looks like it was so inspired, the art style was so unique, and it just became one of the most drab and bland stories I've ever seen. Chris Pratt and Millie Bobby Brown are just sleepwalking through this movie. The Russo brothers really are proving that they are not good directors outside of the MCU. They are great within the MCU. Anytime they go outside of it, it's just a complete disaster. The humor is pretty weak overall. The jokes are like the things and cliches you've seen a million times before. Like the type of jokes where like Chris Pratt's like, oh, the only way to get out of here is if this robot like picks us up and carries us out of here on his own 2 feet. And then the movie cuts to the robot doing exactly that. That's the exact type of humor that you get for like 2 hours, and the final big like battle is just empty. Not a good movie, but like I said, if you enjoyed it, I'm glad. I wish I could like it too. Number 10 is the new movie from Prime Video called Holland, starring Nicole Kidman. This is a complete disaster of a film as well. It follows Nicole Kidman, who's just like this teacher wife living this like everyday regular life, and one day she starts suspecting like, oh, there's something going on with my husband. Maybe things aren't exactly what they seem. But it ends up feeling like a Hallmark movie on all the drugs in the world, because this thing is literally a complete mess of a movie. They set up so many different things in the like first 30 minutes of this film that get pretty much completely abandoned by the end of it. It felt like this script was written by like 20 different people, which honestly it probably was. Number 9 is Plankton the movie, the new Netflix original film, obviously following Plankton from SpongeBob. For some reason, we decided that Plankton needed a musical film. I don't understand what Netflix is going for with the rights to this character. We're focusing so much on Karen in this movie, and this is just not at all what they should be doing with the SpongeBob rights. Like, I do not enjoy this being a musical for some reason. The animation is just worse than the original SpongeBob show from forever ago. I don't know how they managed to do that, and this is just a complete mess. If you're a kid, maybe like 7 to 10 years old, this is fine, but otherwise not a good use of the property. At number 8 is finally Snow White, another not good movie on this list. As you can tell, like I said, it's very top and bottom heavy. Not a lot of mediocre films in this month. It's either really bad or really good. Snow White definitely falls into the really bad category. The only positive I have is Rachel Zegler, and people act like that's me saying she's incredible. Like, no, this is not an Oscar-worthy performance. She's not even that amazing in the movie. She's just the best part of this complete disaster of a film. The Seven Dwarfs being CGI was one of the worst mistakes Disney has ever made. It's so uncanny. Every single time they're on screen, Gal Gadot cannot act for her life. Her musical numbers are absolutely abhorrent. I can't believe they filmed that without bursting out laughing in the middle of it. Really, Disney needs to learn from this and stop with the live action remakes, but they probably won't. And number 7 is like the first mediocre movie on this entire list. It's Batman Ninja versus the Yakuza League, which you probably didn't even hear of. This is like only released on digital platforms, just under the radar. It's a sequel to Batman Ninja, which I gotta admit, I actually didn't watch, but this one kind of caught my eye. I figured I checked it out. Basically, the premise of this movie is Batman and Robin realize, hey, the Justice League are disappearing, and they're actually in this alternate Japanese dimension where they're a part of the Yakuza League instead. And I do gotta say, some of the character designs of these like alternate Justice League members, like you can see the Flash down here, you can see Aquaman in the top right, Wonder Woman in the top left. The designs are really cool. The animation itself is really just hard to get used to, I'm not gonna lie though. Some of the fights were cool. Ultimately, this just was not for me. It's very over the top. And number 6 is Novocaine, the first movie I actually considered just purely enjoyable on this entire list. This is Jack Quaid's latest action movie. He plays Nathan Kane, a man with a condition where he cannot feel any pain. So the movie plays into that for all the action sequences of him going and trying to save this girl he just met from being kidnapped. And like I said before in my other reviews, if you saw those, I do think this movie does have some really creative and funny moments with the entire concept of him not being able to feel pain and the action sequences with that. Otherwise, it's just kind of the generic, like, oh, regular, nerdy, kind of shy guy going into an action movie sequence that we've seen over and over again. It's something that's like absolutely mind-blowing, but it is just a fun, enjoyable time. And even if Jack Quaid does seem like he's always kind of playing playing the same character, I do enjoy him as this type of character. He's just a charming guy in these types of roles. At number 5, I have Death of a Unicorn, the newest A24 movie starring Jenna Ortega. She plays the daughter of Paul Rudd, who's going on this weekend retreat that he's invited to by his boss, and on the way to the weekend retreat, the two of them end up hitting a unicorn on their way there, and it kind of starts this whole mystery of like, oh, what are the unicorns doing? Why do they exist? What powers do they have? And then dealing with the billionaires trying to exploit the unicorns. It's like a comedy horror mix. I didn't find this movie particularly funny outside of Will Poulter, who, if you don't know, he plays Adam Warlock in the MCU. I thought he was absolutely hilarious because he's playing this super goofy. I kind of wish everybody else in this movie was matching his energy, but they really don't. A lot of the jokes were just kind of falling flat. And again, obviously, it's a very like eat the rich movie. It's very on the nose about its themes, but I don't think that makes it bad. It's an enjoyable enough movie. It's definitely not perfect. The ending was really sloppy in my opinion. It just feels like random stuff starts happening for the last like 15 minutes and they didn't know which to make like the big climax of the movie, so they're just like, screw it, we're just gonna throw all these at the end of the movie and hope one of them stick. It's an enjoyable enough film. I really enjoy the creative concept behind this and it being like a unicorn horror movie in a way. Some of the kills with the unicorns are surprisingly really brutal. If you want some just mean kills, this will definitely serve you that up. And number 4 is one of the most wholesome movies of the year, Bob Trevino Likes It. It follows Lily Trevino. She's not speaking to her dad anymore because he's like the worst person in the world, just blames her for everything, super mean guy, and he is like just manipulating her in every way possible. But one day she is kind of looking for that father figure and she wants to reach back out to her dad, so she looks up Bob Trevino on Facebook and finds another guy with the same name as her dad. This guy's also kind of an outcast in his own right. Like, he's not really liked at his job, doesn't have any friends, and he wants to be a father figure. So it's this weirdly wholesome relationship between these two becoming friends and kind of filling that gap. I swear it's not as weird as it sounds. And it gets surprisingly emotional too. Definitely recommend checking it out. At number 3 is Mickey 17, the newest movie from Bong Joon-ho starring Robert Pattinson. And if you don't know, he plays Mickey, obviously, and he signs up to go into space and pretty much be an expendable. His job is to die over and over again, testing different ways of dying and what conditions are actually deadly and stuff like that. But a problem arises when on his 17th version, he's still alive and an 18th version of him is printed, so now there's duplicate Mickeys running around. This is a very fun, just bizarre, political, dark comedy, and Robert Pattinson is incredible in it. It's a really good movie overall. I just feel like it's a little bit messier than Bong Joon-ho's regular films are. Like, I was hoping this was going to be one of my favorite movies of the entire year, and it's really solid. It will probably end up in like my top 20 or 15, but there's no way this finishes in like the top 10 because it was just a little bit of a letdown. I think the first half is kind of bogged down by, instead of just showing us the concept of like him being Mickey dying over and over again, we're really explaining a lot of how this works, how duplicates work. It feels like a lot of exposition just being dumped all over your head. Like I said, it is a really good movie overall. Bong Joon-ho is very on the nose with his themes, but I do like that about him. Robert Pattinson as these two completely different versions of himself is incredible. Before I get to the top 2, by the way, hit that like button and hit subscribe if you haven't already, and let me know your ranking of any new movies you saw in March. And number 2 is the newest Looney Tunes movie, The Day the Earth Blew Up, with Daffy and Porky Pig. It follows these two as they stumble upon this plot of some alien taking over the world with chewing gum to control the population. It really just has that classic Looney Tunes slapstick humor, mixes in some very modern, up-to-date jokes that were having me laugh, and like we're throwing stimulus jokes out there. It is really just an absolute blast. The 2D animation is so fun to watch. It just feels like a classic Looney Tunes story, but they haven't lost the humor whatsoever. Daffy Duck in particular, absolutely hilarious in this entire movie. My favorite movie of March and the year so far is Steven Soderbergh's Black Bag. This is a new spy thriller movie with Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett. Just a super slick, like a 90-minute movie. It's just a great classic, like whodunit mystery. As all the pieces start coming together towards the end and start clicking into place, it really just becomes amazing. I love the ending of this film. It looks absolutely incredible. Great performances. Definitely check it out. Super underseen movie. Next up, drop a like in the video. Let me know your March ranking. If you want to check out my rankings for February and January movies, click the playlist above. They're all in that playlist. Thank you so much for watching again.